Everything school should have taught you in one place. With a property portfolio of over 17 million and an accountancy firm of over 16,000 clients, as well as being an accountant to some of the wealthiest people in Australia, Jeremy Iannuzzelli will be sharing his lessons on everything school should have taught you so you can build the life you want.
When it rains, it pours. You've probably just heard recently that the Geelong Oil Refinery, one of the only two oil refineries that we've got operating here in Australia, has just suffered a fire, which has substantially reduced the ability to refine more of the crude oil into the fuels that we need and use, such as diesel, jet fuel, petrol for our cars and for our plant and equipment as well. As I said, when it rains, it pours for the government, especially for us going through this oil crisis that we currently are. Now, I know at the very start, we were told that there was no oil crisis and that, moved into it was an oil crisis, and then $20 million being spent on an ad to educate you on how to use fuel more wisely, like we don't already know that it's costing us an arm and a leg. But one of the things that you need to consider is, what does this actually mean for you? So while it refines about 120,000 barrels of oil per day, roughly Australia's oil consumption of barrels, that is roughly about 1.15 million barrels per day. So it only makes up about 10%, but it's quite interesting here. We send it overseas. If we do dig it up, it gets refined and then we bring it back, or we're importing already refined oil. At the moment, when we've got such huge capacity restrictions that's coming in from around the world, you've got Strait of Hormuz, as we all know, which is being restricted now by the American government. This is internal government policy that we can see at its best, which is failing. So 1 out of the 2 oil refineries that we have is now down, and capacity to produce has significantly reduced at a time when we need it the most. Now, you're probably thinking what this means for you. Well, we've seen the government reduce the fuel excise down by 50%. So I believe there's roughly about 26 cents in the fuel excise that they've reduced. So they still are getting some money. There's a windfall that they are getting on the higher petrol prices at the Bowser. Again, GST that is getting charged on the petrol that we fill up our cars, or diesel that we fill up our cars, is going into the coffers of the state government and the federal government. Now, we have heard that some of the state governments will be contributing that windfall from GST back to the reduction of prices in other places. But nevertheless, for you at home, you're going to see petrol prices, diesel prices probably exceed the levels that they were prior to the fuel excise being reduced. That means high petrol prices at the Bowser. That's more money out of your back pocket. Now, it's not just the cars in our back pocket, especially at the Bowser, that it represents. It's the cost of transport. We're starting to see some trucks, some big transport companies just stop driving trucks. It's cheaper for them to have the trucks parked up than it is for them to pay wages, rego and insurance and fuel, and actually significantly reduce the profits, if anything, increase losses. So a higher basket of goods leads to higher interest rates and higher inflation. So fuel drives economy. Energy drives economy. When you've got energy costs being substantially higher than what they were 6 months ago, especially in a spending crisis that the government's creating, you're going to have higher interest rates from Michelle Bullock at the RBA. You're going to have higher costs of mortgages that result from it. Everything else becomes significantly higher. We are at risk of a stagflation event. Now, if this is transitory and they get the Strait of Hormuz under control and oil production back to normal levels being spread around the world, then we'll see that this is just a little bit of a higher cost environment for the next 2 to 3 months. However, my opinion, and that's what this video is about today, it's just to share with you an opinion, is that we're at the very start of it. These effects will have prolonged costs. Even if they do get the Strait of Hormuz opened, they get oil flowing around the world again, it is going to take some time to see that reduction at the Bowser. We've seen the government underpin, essentially say that, hey, we'll cover the cost of any oil that you're buying, and if it does drop, we'll compensate you for the difference, because you've got to remember, these petrol stations, they're buying oil at a certain price. Then world prices are governed, and that's what we then pay at the Bowser. But if they've spent $3 a litre for petrol or diesel and they've got to sell it at $2.60, they're making a loss of 40 cents. So you'll see that petrol stations or independent providers, they're going to be very cautious of how much fuel they're going to be buying, because they don't have stability in the prices. Especially now, if they're buying at $3.20 and it drops to $3.15, there's a loss. Or if they buy it at $3.20, goes up to $3.60, there's a win. The government's come in and said, well, we'll underpin it, we'll hedge it, we'll make sure that these independent fuel stations don't lose money. So it's great that they've done it, but they could have done a lot of things a lot earlier, like our oil sovereignty. And you've got people like Chris Afuli, who's the state premier of Queensland, starting to say, well, we're going to start to dig for oil. We're going to start to get refining processes. I think there's a Botany oil refining plant as well, which is in New South Wales. They're going to start kickstarting as well. Hopefully this leads to more oil production and cheaper prices at the bowser, which then has a better effect on the basket of goods that we have at the supermarkets, doesn't lead to higher inflation and higher interest rates. But as an opinion, the Geelong Oil Refinery going down or having reduced capacity to produce oil is going to lead to higher prices at the bowser, higher transportation costs, which will then lead to higher interest rates that Michelle Bullock will impose, which then leads to a higher cost of living. So while there's a lot of negativity of the things that I've just said around some policy and obviously what's going to happen with prices of fuel, transportation leads to higher interest rates and higher inflation, well, what can you do about it? We're not screwed forever. This is transitory in my opinion. It's not going to be for the next 10 years. We're not facing an oil crisis like they did in the early 70s, but things you can start to implement now is obviously budget. Start to change some of the habits that you may have had in the past. I know we have in our family household. We're no longer taking 2 cars to go visit our parents. We're taking 1. We're looking at public transport. I know a lot of the staff in my office have started to take public transport a little bit more frequently, finding the most efficient way to get around. Don't be afraid to get on your bike and ride to work if you've got capacity to do it. Walking as well. But if you don't change some of these habits, then you'll find yourself paying a lot more at the pump and obviously less in your back pocket. So these are important things to consider. Now, small business owners, I know it's harsh, but I've been having chats with lots of clients, and what we've been doing for small business owners, especially who rely on their employees having cars, is we've started to put some restrictions on the way that the employees do use the cars. I've had clients where they've been spending $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 extra in fuel costs per week, and they're starting to create a little bit of mandates for employees. Guys, the vehicles will be driven to and from work if possible, rather than detouring all the way around Australia like some people do, or using the car for heavy private purposes. So these are some things as small business owners that you can implement with inside your business. Again, not going to be prolonged, just for a short period of time, because we need to get to the other side with still our pants on. We don't want to be behind the 8 ball for too long, because that's where your business might fall over the edge. So if you're individual, not in business, change some of the things you do habitually. Get on a bike, start walking, be efficient with how you travel between places. You're a small business owner, have a look at some things that you can cut or change the way that the vehicles or plant and equipment's being used. I think that's very important. We're not screwed. This is just a moment in time where we need to tighten the belt, and these are things that will teach you how to be more efficient moving forward. I'm Iannuzzelli, and that's what school should have taught you.